I want to give that feeling of like the warm fuzzy feelings to other people.
Right.
Going back to my car accident, when I was recovering from it, I had random people. I had neighbors, friends, family, people I didn't really even know.
Hey guys, how's it going? John here with the Mobile Human Experience. And today we're going to be running another episode of Active Reason, but this is a special episode because it is a part of the event Women Who Move. And today I have a woman who moves, Kerylin. Kerylin, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Kerylin, I mean, we've done a couple of talks before this, right? And you are a parkour athlete, you've done horseback riding almost all of your life, and you're also an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So could you give us a little bit of a brief of who you are and what you do? I know I just did myself, but from your own words, it would be better.
That's okay. So I'll give you kind of the general overview of me and my life and, you know, me up until this point. Mm-hmm. So I was born and raised in Fremont, which is Bay Area, California. Yeah. I, you know, moved other places, but I primarily reside in Fremont. And I, like you were saying, I grew up around horses a lot. As, you know, young as, you know, I was born, honestly. My dad had horses. He had race horses. He had horses just for pleasure and just for riding around. So they did obviously become a really integral part of my life.
Right.
And when I was, gosh, I think it was just out of high school, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to like a four-year college. I did maybe some college, a community college, but I was in that transitional period of my life. I was kind of trying to find myself, and I discovered parkour.
Nice.
It was great. I was really addicted to it, and I've been doing it now for about 9 years, definitely. Wow. More off than on.
Very cool. Okay, and we're going to leave it at that for a second while I explain what Active Reason is. So Active Reason is basically a intellectual pursuit, and in this pursuit we're looking for underlying truths or universal truths. It's kind of a play on words. So active in the sense that I'm talking to movement artists and movement athletes like Kerylin here. In that process of listening to her story, we're actually going to be able to find a root cause for her, right? Or a root purpose for what you're doing. And then that'll hopefully seed others to find their own purpose and, you know, just in all general sense, seed some positivity in the world as well. And this event's special because it's geared towards women. So, I mean, me being a guy, right? I don't know much, but this is a learning process for me as well in seeing their perspective and going through these different movement arts and alternative activities. Start at the beginning. Yes. Horseback riding.
Yes.
Horseback riding. So give us a bit more info on that.
Sure. So horses are in my family. My dad has been around them a lot of his adult life. I don't remember exactly how he got into it, but his brothers were into horses as well. And I was the same way when I was growing up. I remember we would go to a facility that actually my grandparents still currently own, where we would take horseback riding lessons every like Saturday. And I eventually got my own horse when I turned 18 years old, and I still have him to this day. He's getting to be an old fart.
Okay, yeah,
so,
cool. I didn't know you still had a horse.
Yes, I still do. I don't ride him too much. He's in pain. He's old. He's got feet problems, like all of us, you know, eventually get. But
yeah. So here's a question. I mean, you've been doing horseback riding pretty much all your life, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you have any like special moments or funny stories that you can kind of explore with us today?
I don't know if it's necessarily anything in specific, but just generally being around horses, and for me it's any animal, I've just really learned to read their body language. I've learned a lot from my dad about how to read body language, which is really important, just to be safe with them. I would say in general, it's just nice that when I'm around a horse and like they're actually comfortable and they're not on edge or anything, and it kind of tells me that I'm doing the right things because they like being around me.
Freaking awesome. Okay, so here's a weird question, because like, you know, I've been into the whole combat sport stuff, and I've done that whole thing and like the security, and you probably don't know that, but I've done a whole slew of things within this range. So being able to read a person, body language, and what have you has been important for me in the different avenues that I jumped into.
Sure.
Have you been able to use, because this is about being a human, right?
Yeah.
Have you been able to use any of those skills in understanding like the body language of a horse, oddly enough, to just kind of gauge your surroundings and people around you?
Always. I always do that, whether it is in parkour or even in the business as well. I feel like I'm a very empathetic person, and I'm also the observer rather than the one to like jump in and like get super hands-on. I always like to observe the situation before I delve in deeper.
I get that. And then so before we jump into parkour, is there anything else that you would like to discuss about, you know, your horse riding days?
My horse riding days, well, I would say the primary factor of me loving it so much was just the fact that it took a lot of hard work to get into it. Maybe not to get into it, but just to keep it, because like you have to like throw the hay bales around, like to, you know, pick the horse's feet, or like to pick up the saddle, or like to wrestle like a 1,200-pound animal when there's like a coyote coming. You have to like be physically strong, and I really enjoyed just working with the horse and making sure that we're on the same page and being able to manage the physical aspect of it as well.
And then so that actually brings up a good point. So being able to work with the horse as well as manage it, has that helped you in your interpersonal skills with people as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes back to watching the behavior, because when you're on the horse, you can feel the tension. If they're like about to spook, or you know, if they're kind of angry at you or like something you did to them, you can physically feel it. But you know, when relating that to people, it's like you can just kind of read their body language and know that they might be thinking something before you even talk to them about it.
Parkour. How did you start? What got you into it? The whole whatever.
Yes. So parkour, like I said, I started, I think 9 years ago. I heard about it through somebody in the community. My first day was so satisfying in the fact that I got my butt kicked. I went to like the 50th or 51st monthly jam for San Francisco Parkour.
Yeah.
And I went with my sister and my cousin, and I wasn't very physically active. So what they were having me do, I was tired by the end, but I had that mental satisfaction of like, oh my God, like there's people here cheering me on who I don't even know, doing things that I never even knew I could do. And I was really happy to be part of something where people were just so happy for me.
Excellent. So now I'm actually going to go back and forth, right? So what contrast or comparison can you make between parkour and horseback riding in terms of the community and stuff like that?
The community. Well, the contrast that I can make between the two is the community is there's many more people with the parkour community. Like physically, there's like people around. It's kind of I feel like the point of training. It's the community aspect of it.
Right.
And with the horses, it's very solitary, unless you're like with your family or other friends, which is it was not common for me. The comparisons I can make is the physical comparison. Like I was mentioning with horses, like being able to physically like haul the saddle up on the horse, or, you know, ride horses all day is very physically taxing. And so it's doing like precision jumps and like rail balance and everything else. I just, the comparison is definitely the physical aspect and being able to overcome obstacles and challenges you didn't think you could.
Your very first day, you came in, you loved the community. Usually when a person jumps into a new activity of some type, right, they don't necessarily know if they like it or not, but it isn't always an immediate thing. Was there a certain session that was kind of like your aha moment where you're like, oh, I want to continue doing this?
I would say, if anything, my aha moment was the first session. But even before getting into the session and doing it itself, I knew that I just wanted to always be physically capable. And it's hard to describe that. Like, being able to do push-ups and pull-ups would be great. Like I like functional fitness rather than just aesthetic. I like being able to jump over things, and, you know, seeing it in movies always really inspires me too.
So here is an interesting question. So push-ups and pull-ups, in working with women and talking with women a lot, these are two exercises that seem to be like a commonality of like, no matter what they do, they always come back to, I want to be able to do push-ups and pull-ups. For you, I mean, it's going to be different for everybody. What's that, you know, mental drive for you in regards to those two exercises?
The mental drive for me is exactly that. Exactly because women can sometimes be categorized as like less than or not physically capable. I'm like, and they might use the push-ups and the pull-ups as an example. I'm like, well, guess what? I can do them. So I'm not less than you. I'm your equal.
So and we're going to jump into something else now. So it's going to be around that same, you know, sphere. So being a woman in the horse horseback riding scene as well as in parkour.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, how does that make you feel? The type of feedback that you've gotten from other people within those niches? I
would say, well, the two sports themselves are not necessarily feminine.
Right.
And I think that's also kind of what attracted me to it, is because I like to be a tomboy, and I like to be not a cookie cutter.
Right.
And I feel like parkour and horseback riding for a woman might not be those sports where someone is like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, this is woman dominated, because it's not really.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what really attracted me to doing both of them.
Okay, and then how is the community representation towards women in the two?
The community representation for them both. Well, so I know with the parkour community in specific, people, the leaders are really trying to get women to join, and I understand it can be really hard because of the societal pressure for like women to just conform and be the ones at home making the food, kind of a thing. So I think that the leaders in the parkour community are doing a really good job at like trying to integrate more people to come out.
Yeah.
For the horseback riding community, I would say actually that it's pretty inundated with women. But I just see in general in society that there may not always be equal representation. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to jump into another part of your story. And so you have a business.
Yes.
Right? A dog walking business, and I love dogs. So what was the moment in time when you just said, like, I need to do this?
I definitely had that moment. So I'll have to give you a little bit more history about myself. When it was about 7 years ago, my boyfriend at the time and I were living in San Jose. We were coming home from a hiking expedition, and we were involved in a really serious car accident. There was a 16-year-old who stole a truck and was running from the cops.
Oh, wow.
And he blindsided us. I went to the hospital with multiple injuries. I fractured 11 ribs, my lungs partially collapsed, my spleen had ruptured, concussion, obviously. And, I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks until I recovered. I lived back with family. But that was kind of my moment of like, I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
I was not super happy of myself striving to do things and get out in life and really trying to achieve things.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my moment to be like, I need to do better in life.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to when I was waitressing one time, I had started the business, and it was just myself. I didn't have any employees at the time. And I was in this weird position of like, I have my business and I can really accelerate it and go, or I can stay at this waitressing job and just not put effort into my business.
Yeah.
And I thought back to the car accident of how I felt like having an opportunity to live again.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there's no way. Like, I might as well take the jump and try it.
Yeah.
And so I did. I quit the waitressing job, and I started the business full time at that point.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Let me soak this in for a second. So you started the business and you went in full time. What were the first couple of years like as you were like really focused on it?
Well, so the first year in specific, it was just myself, and I think I had hired one person at the point, and I was very naive. I don't have a background in business. I did not go to college. I have no education as far as that goes. And so the first few years, I was just kind of like winging it. But I got to a point where I wanted to scale the business. And, part of my desire that came out of the car accident was to live life by my own means.
Correct.
And so I was like, well, if I'm working all the time and I don't have an employee and I don't know how to hire and I don't know how to keep people, what is the point of me having a business? It's a glorified job.
Right.
So I had realized I need help. I need like professional help. So I actually hired a business coach at that point.
Right.
And once I hired her, like I got the business so much more systematized, and it was much easier from there. But the first few years were definitely challenging.
Do you have any advice for people that might want to start their own business on things that they can do to, not just from the systematic state, right? But also like mentally what they can do to get themselves prepped?
My biggest advice is just believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to start this business, but like I have rent to pay.
Yeah.
But I have responsibilities. I have kids. I have my spouse. And they're not asking you to like give all that up in order to get a business. There is a way to maintain your life and still work towards yourself and your business. So my advice is just leave and like find a way.
Yeah.
There's always a way.
Yeah. Yep. I believe in that. And then so from here, I'm gonna kind of expand on that a bit. When anything that you do, right, whether it's like horseback riding for you, parkour for both of us, right, business for both of us in essence, right, there's always going to be ups and downs.
Yeah.
Things that will keep you going and things that will just like severely pull you away from what you want to do. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you driven, not just in business but just in life, to move forward?
Yeah, I think what really keeps me driven is happy people. Like when I'm around people who are vibrant and who are like thankful for me, for me being around, who are just happy themselves. Like I'm best in an environment where others are happy, so I kind of want to do what I can to make them happy as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
I get it. The whole point of this video is to find out your root cause and your root purpose.
My root cause is I just want to just do what's right for other people. I want to give that feeling of like the warm fuzzy feelings to other people.
Right.
Going back to my car accident, when I was recovering from it, I had random people. I had neighbors, friends, family, people I didn't really even know who like donated gift cards, donated money, food, anything. And so I felt like I was at a very low point in my life, and I was extremely appreciative of these people doing a very kind thing for me. So that like warm fuzzy feeling that I felt is what I feel like is my purpose in life, to give it and also to feel it, of course, as well. But I just want other people to feel that too.
Freaking awesome. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to say to kind of just sign off today?
Just do good. Be good people.
Awesome. All right. So guys, thank you for coming today and watching us on the Mobile Human Experience. This is once again The Active Reason and Women Who Move. Bye.
Bye.